but I don't believe in like keeping cash, because like frankly speaking, this is just human psyche, right? No ill intentions, but like most of the time, if you hold like a big enough position in cash, when the market crash, what I notice with people, right, is that they don't execute. They don't put the money in because they would say, I'm kind of scared, or I think the market will dip further.
Yeah, true.
And by the time that they actually miss out on like the 1 day 20% spike or 10% spike, they'll be too late already. Because like there's actually this study done by like I think it was like JP Morgan way back.
Before we begin the podcast, have you gotten your free ebook? It's called the Build a Six-Figure Portfolio Guidebook. Now, inside it, we share with you the tips and tricks to bring your stock investing skills to the next level. The best part, it's only 10 pages long and it's totally free. Whether you're on Spotify or YouTube, the link to download is in the description, or you can go to www.firl.co/FREE or www.firl.co/free. Alright guys, welcome back to the podcast, best place for long-term stock investors. Today, we have a guest that I've actually just met for the first time, literally on Instagram. In fact, cool fact is that I don't even know what his eyes look like, right? Because on his Instagram profile, it's just red laser eyes. But I do know he's a very good chef. Maybe more on your culinary adventures later on. But let's start. First, welcome to the podcast, Ryan.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, MJ.
Right. For those of you who are interested, you can follow him on Instagram, Food and Stonks, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Food and Stonks. You can't miss him. I just gave a good description of his profile picture, right? So I think you just start off with, what do you actually do for because I know you are in data and you have an engineering background, right? So maybe share a bit about how you got into the work that you're doing right now.
Yeah, I'm actually a hydraulic modeler.
Okay.
So basically what that means is I try to predict floods and droughts for a living. So basically I create models of like rivers and like the atmosphere, raining and stuff like that, and how that translates into like flooding or like drought that affects like agriculture and stuff like that.
Right. So fair to say you're in the renewable space?
Yeah, not quite, but it's overlapping, I guess.
Right. And so was this something that I know what led up to what you're doing today? Reading some of your posts was that you were saying how grades weren't that important and you pour your heart into a certain research project.
Yeah,
that essentially got you to either the job or the industry that you're in right now. Am I right to say that?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, basically, I was a civil engineering major.
Right.
So it's quite far off from like what I'm doing, but not too far off because like, hydraulics and, there's always like drains and stuff like that when you build like construction, build new townships. There's always going to be like drainage and stuff like that. But what's happening in Malaysia at the very least, like, what I see is like more and more developments are coming up.
Really? Okay.
And it's coming up fast, but without concern for any how would you say that? Without any concern for like not to say ESG, but like like any environmental concerns, I would say. Like but in more precisely, right? There's no thought being put into the, how would you put it? It's like the
sustainability
consequences of like construction. Because like when you cut trees down, that's gonna affect like things like the carbon cycle and the water cycle and stuff like that, and that's basically translating itself to like more extreme weather events like typhoons and the floodings today.
Right. So, but I mean, just to so that I can visualize a bit better. I'm not in the field, but so you're doing hydraulics, but how does like what you do help essentially with carbon emissions, like specifically? Paint that picture for me.
Well, not really. I'm in the water space, right?
Right.
So water and carbon, they don't really mix. And like carbon is like a whole different story
Sure,
when it comes to like all this, because like when you cut trees down, that's carbon. But when you also cut trees down, it also affects like things like water retention in the forest, or like what we call surface runoff and stuff like that. But yeah, it will eventually lead to like more heavy rainfall,
Right.
more floods and droughts and stuff like that for the water line.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe more on your engineering background later on. But let's go into a bit of your not your personal finances, but your views on personal finance, right? Money and all that. And I know you have some interesting opinions on this whole FIRE, fat FIRE, fit FIRE, and minimalism, things like that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Because I know that I think at least a couple of years back, thanks to COVID, right? There's this whole. I mean, the FIRE movement was already there 5-6 years ago, but it ramped up heavily during COVID, right? Because then everyone realized, oh wow, actually managing money quite important. So but what are your overall thoughts on FIRE? Are you a fan, proponent of it, or you're like?
Oh, going back to like the point of the whole FIRE movement getting ramped up in during COVID, right?
Yeah.
I actually started when it was COVID. When there was like COVID at the background, because like I started investing in like 2020.
Okay.
And then the market crashed.
Right.
And then that's when like I started to be more conscious about money and like investing in general, and that's
because
how
now
I got started.
you can see the trading screen, right? It's staring at you, right? Negative, right?
All that. So in terms of like what I think about like FIRE, so I'm personally a workaholic, so I don't quite care about like retiring early.
Right.
Because like I quite like my job, and I do want to continue working at it for as long as I can.
Right.
But like in terms of like saving money and like getting that financial freedom to do whatever you want, financial independence, I think that's quite liberating. In many sense, like Asian households, people do live with their parents for a very long time, until maybe they get married in their 30s and then they move out. But like recently, I've been moving out myself, and then like I'm feeling like all the stresses.
Yeah.
So like definitely it's something that it's good to experience, I would say, like managing money and all that.
Right. So in these few years, right? Like I mean, the investing lessons aside, lah. But what have you discovered in the whole personal finance space that you would say, yes, I'll take it and say this is good, right? Advice and all that. Then maybe some that are a bit popular that you would say, yeah, maybe not really a fan of that.
Yeah, I would say like some I did this post on like this thing called frugality versus minimalism.
Yes.
So my mantra is basically to be a minimalist.
Right.
I don't want to sacrifice too much. Not to say a lot, like not too much. I think sacrificing is sometimes required for things like but like that's all about like that's what minimalism is all about, right? So you basically throw away things you don't want.
Yep.
And then so I decided to like slowly take that towards my investing and and other aspects of my life, So stop focusing on tasks that doesn't really matter, or like stop holding on to stocks that don't really generate as much income compared to like some other higher growth potential stocks.
Right.
That's kind of like the idea behind like my minimalism, basically.
Right. So specifically to investing, I know, I mean, even though you've technically only invested for about 2.5 years, but these 2.5 years feel like it's compressed over like the kind of lessons and the things that happened during these 2 years is like like some people like even in 10 years of experience won't experience, right?
Yeah.
So how will you describe from the beginning, right, your, let's call it, philosophy of investing, and how has it evolved?
Yeah, it's been quite a roller coaster, I would say. Like you factor in all the volatility from the markets, from 2020 onwards. Like I bought in at the top of the roller coaster and I rode it all the way down. Yeah. But I would say I've evolved quite a lot. So in the beginning, I was kind of like a dividend investor.
Okay, yep. I've heard this story before. Yeah. Right.
So I guess that's where everyone starts.
Yeah.
There's like quite a lot of people in the space locally, like Mr. Dividend Magic.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. I mean,
So
it's-
like, I really respect the guy, you know. So
I mean, he
like,
put it. His name is there some more, right? So
Yeah,
he
it's-
kind of have to be that for the rest of his life. I hope
but
he's
it's
not listening to
really
this.
dividend magic for him, you know.
Yeah.
But I at some point I realized I don't quite have the patience to actually build that kind of portfolio.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
kind of young, right? Like, so like within the next 5 years, I thought to myself, maybe let's try to do something crazy. Let's try to hit, you know, at least 500,000 or 1 million by 30.
Yeah.
So that's where I started going down the path of like trading.
All right. Okay.
And
Go on.
the roller coaster that I took was actually growth stocks. Yeah. So that's kind of like where I made my first batch of like real money to invest in like Wall Street and crypto. But when I was like trading like growth stocks, it was like a cyclical play, right? So I always had this question behind my mind: when should I sell? You know, so
Yeah.
I was quite I didn't like the question, and I didn't like questioning myself. This when should I sell thing? So it keeps me up at night. You know, like I'm always worried like is the market kind of are the stocks gonna like go down tomorrow and all that? So eventually I took my profits and exited. So and then I started looking for something that's like
Well, you don't
more-
have to ask that question.
sorry.
Well, you don't have to ask the
Yeah,
question.
exactly. Like what Warren Buffett says, right? The
Right.
best holding period is like forever.
Yeah, correct.
So like I started looking for like, you know, things like Amazon and that's kind of like where I realized where the money is it's basically at tech, and where all the tech is like actually in Wall Street.
Yep.
So that's where I headed.
Right. So I know, speaking of tech or that, I know yourself and your co-host, right, for your podcast. By the way, guys, he also run a podcast, so podcaster to podcaster. Sorry. I know you're a big fan of Tesla.
Yeah, definitely.
And before we talk about Tesla, I think you have a huge admiration for the PayPal mafia, right?
Oh yeah.
So this is the Peter Thiel's, what's the LinkedIn guy again? Reid Hoffman, right?
Yeah.
And then I mean I don't know all of them, but I know the three lah, right? Elon, Peter, and Reid, right? I don't know about the rest.
Those are the
Sorry.
three most famous guys.
The others, they are like Maroon 5.
Yeah, the Maroon 5 finance.
It's called Adam Levine and Friends. That's why I like to call it Maroon 5. Can you name the other members of Maroon 5?
Max Leishman. So that's
Right.
the guy who created PayPal together with Peter Thiel.
Okay.
And then like there's like a whole gang of them. Like,
Yeah.
I can't remember all of them,
Right.
but like there's some of them went to start YouTube. Some of them like co-founded things like that. So they're everywhere.
Yeah.
In terms of like the tech today. Even some of the people who started Google part of the mafia.
What was it about them that made you admire them so much?
So at first I'm not gonna lie, like I admired them for being like crazy rich.
Yeah,
And
of
I'm
course.
also fascinated with tech.
Right,
Like, coming
right.
from an engineering background, I always had like admiration for
Yeah.
people who, did innovation and stuff like that. And like you ask any engineering student nowadays, do you know who Elon Musk is? Definitely they know, And we engineering students normally we put him on a pedestal and stuff like that. Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah.
But but beyond like how rich they are, I started to like read into like those books like financial journalists that they write. So basically kind of like the YouTube stories, the Google stories, Microsoft and all that, how it was built, how it came about, and and I quite like reading books like that. So
You read like one book a day, right? Just
no, I don't.
It feels that way when I see on Instagram, like, wait, what? A book review? Wait, another one? Oh, okay, yeah. Anyway, continue. Yeah.
But the fascination started
Yeah.
from there, and then when I came across these guys, the PayPal Mafia, and this specific book by
Right.
Ashley Vance called
Okay.
Elon Musk, basically a biography about
Right.
Elon Musk.
Okay.
It's a pretty good book about him, I would say, and I just noticed like how different this guy was. He feels like to me on a Steve Jobs level, because like Steve Jobs is like kind of like he's not that much into tech, right? He's more on the art,
Marketing,
spiritual kind of stuff. Like fun fact, Steve Jobs went to India to get his monk spiritual training and stuff like that. So, his philosophy is quite different compared to Elon Musk. Elon Musk is like pretty much hard on. He's like very involved in the tech, and he's very and he also has like a very fundamental understanding of like economics. So I would say that's why he's able to pull off like one of the most incredible feats, one after another, which is like privatizing the rocket business, which is very controlled by the government in US or
and he did
globally.
it for like a tenth of the cost, if I remember, compared to
Yeah.
NASA, something like that.
Because
right?
he basically lands rocket and reuses them, so that's like sustainability right there.
Yeah.
But the next thing he did that was insane was also like Tesla, because like
Of course.
if you look at like all the car companies that succeeded in US, there's like Chevron, there's like Ford, and then now there's like Tesla, a grand total of 3. And that's in the since like 60s or 70s. There's only 3 of them who succeeded, and like Tesla is one of them. So that's incredible, So to me, at least,
Right. I mean, before I go on to Tesla, like, how about the other two? Because I can tell you my views that I find I relate, or how do I put it? I prefer Peter Thiel.
Yeah.
But of course, all 3 of them are fantastic in their own right. Reid Hoffman is someone that I probably study the least. Not to say I study the other 2 a lot, but study the least. How you assess both of them? We're not going to go through all the PayPal market, but at least these are the 2, and maybe starting with Peter.
Well, Peter Thiel, at that point of time, right, information on him is rather scarce. There was no book on him. He is, I would say, like quite a private person. But he does appear in interviews and like podcasts.
Yeah.
People like, if you listen to podcasts like Tim Ferriss, the Tim Ferriss show, so they do talk about Peter Thiel a lot, and that's kind of like where I gathered information about Peter Thiel, and I kind of like understood that this guy is a real good tech entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And he understands fundamentally the tech and where there's a need for tech development in that space. So one of the few companies that he built was like Palantir.
Yeah.
That solves like a very, very niche need. I won't say like it's like it solves like data in general, because that's what Google did.
Yeah.
But like they did like something that's like really out of the field, like looking for like terrorists and stuff like that. So that's
it's like a very sophisticated government dashboard.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll talk about Palantir, don't worry. Right? Or should we maybe leave that to Aaron, because I just saw his one of his stories he was talking about.
We're both like very, very bullish on Palantir.
Okay, so how about Reid Hoffman? Because I know he has a pretty underrated podcast, I think Masters of Scale or something like that, right? Yeah, what do you think of Reid? Because he founded LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
I think it has been great, but for me, I don't know about what you think. I think it's a very cringe platform. I was just joking with a common friend of ours, the financial darlings people, Shireen, right?
Yeah.
I just gave an example because she was complaining about LinkedIn as well. Or is it her or Azan? I never know who's the one typing. So I just said, she said that, LinkedIn is a terrible place. Then I say, yeah, it's very cringe. It's all the posts are all the same. I was like, I was just joking, right? I worked for the Ming Dynasty for 800 years. Here's 800 tips on how you can, please the emperor, something like that. It's all in that, that type, right? But yeah, sorry, I digress. But that's LinkedIn for you, and I really don't like the whole platform. Everyone is just, you can just feel it's a front, right? It's not like, okay, to be fair, Instagram is somewhat of a front, but certainly places like Twitter or even long form content or Spotify podcast, you can't really hide like the personality.
Yeah.
But with LinkedIn, you kind of can. Right?
Yeah, it feels kind of like Facebook for work. You know what I mean?
It's actually worse. At least on Facebook, people like really complain about things and really show who they are. I know they might be a racist or whatever, right? But they said, hey, cool, but LinkedIn is...
Yeah, it's cringe, sometimes you would see like some people crying for help. Yeah. Please give me a job, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
and everyone has a recommendation for Microsoft Excel, so that's interesting. Reid Hoffman, sorry, you haven't gone back. What do you learn from Reid Hoffman?
Yeah, I would say you mentioned something really crucial, which is masters of skill.
Yeah.
So this guy is like from his conversations with entrepreneurs on how to scale businesses, right? This guy and some of the books that he written
Yeah.
in the past,
Yeah.
like Blitz Scaling, one of the books he read. He's pretty I would say pretty good at scaling businesses. I would say so. Like one thing in common, like between all the PayPal mafia people in PayPal mafia, is that they are very clear on what to do when it comes to scaling.
Mm.
So and when they have that technological knowledge or rather like that unfair advantage,
Yeah.
right, in their
Yeah.
relevant fields, they have that expertise and that thirst to scale.
Yeah.
So that's why they are able to build things that are very far off left, far off right, and something that products or companies that really impact the world, because what they truly address is a need for something. And
Right.
I would say like social media is
Yeah.
social media at that point, like coming back to like LinkedIn, right? At its heart, like it's social media for professional people.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's just kind of sad that it took like a very cringe turn.
Well,
But
that's why he sold it to Microsoft, right? Was it
yeah,
Microsoft?
so Microsoft's
Good
like the guys who are like collecting stuff like that. Like recently they bought over Activision Blizzard. So yeah.
Yeah, and then I think a while back, who did they buy? They bought GitHub as well.
Yeah.
They bought, I think even before that, I can't remember what it was, but they're known for all these kind of odd acquisitions now. But that's Microsoft. But when you talk about scaling, right, what are the ingredients that you see, like the commonality? What are the key, I don't know, factors you need in order to scale when you read all these books and you learn from them?
I can't really on top of my head, right, I can't really name like what's important, what's not, because like it's a very multifaceted kind of thing, like where you have like a lot of different elements. Sometimes you need the right people, sometimes you need the right tools, the right like even when it comes to tech, right, you have to hire people who know the right languages to actually execute the code.
Correct.
So like it all depends on your, I would say like focus on solving the problem, because like most of the time when you have a problem and that you wish to address, you would tear your head out to find the fastest path to actually achieve that, and that's where like the scaling comes in, I think.
Right.
But for like in terms of like investing, right, like I would say like most of the time, like I like companies like that are very vertically integrated. So like the Apples, the Amazons,
when you say vertically integrated, what you're saying is that they have control over the supply of some of their either the raw materials or whatever of their products. Is that right?
Well, it doesn't really have to be like the raw materials.
Right.
Like say like
course,
Tesla, they don't mine their own nickel. They don't mine, but they have like a pipeline to build the robots that builds the cars.
And that's why they're going to batteries as well.
Yeah, exactly. That, right? That's why they are able to like scale, because they are able to automate a lot of these physical processes, which is like a marvel, And then like same thing goes for Apple. They come up with phones every 2 to 3 years. They have to refresh their supply line every 2 to 3 years, but they manage to keep the supply going despite like the semiconductor shortage and everything. And that's because they have like a very vertically integrated pipeline where they have like control over the production.
They design their chips as well.
They design the chips. That's kind of like something from 2021, right?
Yeah.
Which is like very recent. But that's vertical. That's a good example of like vertical integration.
Right. So let's go into Tesla, right? I think we brought on 3. You'll be the 4th. Can I say fan?
Fanboy. Yeah.
And I don't mean that in an insulting way or anything. I mean like it's a fact lah. So, what is the case for Tesla? Because I've heard several, right? One, they have sort of like an AI automation advantage. Another one is that of course there's Elon, right? Then another group of people say that competitions are just so far behind. And another group is like, no, they're into energy. That's why, they're really good, right? Yeah, the car might be commoditized, but it's the energy business. That's the one that's really good. Then I also hear people saying things like, well, when they do AI on the cars, right, then now they can like go into the insurance business because now they can calculate premiums and whatnot correctly.
Yeah.
What would be like your biggest case for Tesla? Because I'm hearing a lot of different POVs from Tesla fans. Obviously, there's also the negative POVs, but just on the positive side, right? What's the case?
Well, I think in essence, right, Tesla is a kind of like an energy company. So what they're doing is like to transition cars to like electric. So a lot of people will argue to say that well, your power generators are all kind of like powered by coal, powered by gas,
That's the ESG gang, right?
Yeah, and undeniably, energy is majority supplied by coal, by gas, natural gas nowadays. There's no escaping it.
Yeah.
But what Elon did, right, was basically unlock a very key component. When your car does not need to be fueled with petrol, so basically you open and you charge your electric vehicle with like electric at home, so there's less dependence on petrol and fossil fuels basically. So that opens up options for the energy provider to go into renewable sources.
Right.
Yeah, but like in the grand scheme of things, right, I'm not really against the use of fossil fuels. I don't believe fossil fuels are running
evil,
out. Yeah, it's just things that progress the human race.
Yeah.
Because without petrol, you don't have the plastic revolution.
Yeah, you don't have roads actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Bitumen and all that.
Exactly. So it's something that's crucial. It will be here for the foreseeable future.
Right.
But what's important here is that Elon unlocked the possibility of more sustainable energy sources,
Right.
Nuclear, wind, and hydropower.
Right.
Those are sources that can be those are sources that can be explored and something that's reliable.
Right. I mean, I agree with you. Like the whole renewable thing. I guess he has to say it because I guess it's in a way easier to get investors, right? Especially in this sort of climate. But I mean, from the business perspective, I've always wanted to ask a Tesla shareholder. So I mean, in context, I think I owned Tesla for like a brief period. Then I didn't hold it for long, not because I didn't believe in it. Yeah. I consider Tesla as like a too hard power, meaning if you read Warren Buffett or Charlie, for me, I don't know, I can't figure out, right? My position is always with Tesla, right? I will never bet against Elon, and he has my moral support, but I don't know about financial support. That's a secondary question, because I want him to succeed, right, no matter what. So I mean, but specifically what I find interesting is that the biggest criticism, not really a criticism, but the biggest risk that has ever been highlighted on Tesla is actually from Elon himself. This was, I think, 3 to 4 months ago. I saw a clip of him highlighting this risk, and he said that the tech is all good, the renewable part, the production, they've done a great job, especially when you compare in 2018 when they went bankrupt. There's a whole story of Elon sleeping on the factory floor and things like that, right? And he said the biggest challenge, right, is that for a car company, in a historical car company, right, so your Chryslers, Fiat, Toyotas or whatever, the way they make money is in the warranty market. So the what's the word called, the spare parts.
Yeah.
Right. 80% of the fleet of a typical traditional ICE vehicle, the total fleet is more than 5 years old. I.e., they now can have to spend on parts. They cannot rely on the warranties. So he was saying that's how they make the whatever thin margins automobile companies make.
Yeah.
Now with electric vehicles, that is not present anymore, because certainly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the components, right, is going to be less elaborate. Now it's just electronic, it's chips, right? Yes. and you don't. Again, I'm not sure. I'm not that. No, I don't know Tesla. But I don't know how often you have to change the chips to maintain it. But it's not going to cost as much as your ICE car lah, for repair, right?
Definitely. Like recently I've been honing into, because like my car's been like breaking down, so I had to go for service and stuff like that. And then
it happens. How old is it? Is it more than 5 years already?
No. It's like 4 years.
That's crazy. Okay. Anyway, I continue.
But so I brought it for service and stuff like that. So and then I realized I have to change my tires and stuff like that. So there's a lot.
And that's how they make money.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And like say like Honda or Toyota, they have this service scheme where you basically have to follow like every 10,000 kilometers or 6 months, you have to go back for service, and that's really how they make money. They force you to come back to service and change out parts that you actually don't need to.
Right. So on that point, so Elon says in the episode on this, there needs to be a new way for the cars to make money, right?
Yeah.
And he brought up, right, that is why, right, we have to be leaders in AI and automation.
Exactly.
Now, here's the interesting bit. If you look at automobile history, what we realize, right, the trend, what I realize at least is that, so America will come out with the car, and then some Asian country, right, will come in, do the same thing, same quality, but like half the price, right?
Yeah.
And because the manufacturing, for a whole host of other reasons. So when he mentioned AI and automation, I thought that was very interesting because that's a very honest assessment of Tesla.
Yes.
And then I think of, right, he just opened the Shanghai factory in China. And, the Chinese are kings for AI and automation. I mean, I wouldn't say kings, but they are making waves, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in engineering, So I guess, I know it's a very long question, but how will you respond to that question? Because that's something I always wanted to know, right? I have no skin in the game, but I just really wanted to know what does a Tesla investor think of this risk that Elon himself highlighted.
Well, I think he highlighted like a really crucial part, because like that basically keeps like the whole money coming in passively,
right,
for every car that you sell.
Correct.
So in this form, that's why Elon mentioned that they have to be leaders in automation and AI is because this is where all the Tesla insurance come in. This is where the FSD come in, the full self-driving stuff like that. So
this is the level 5
self-driving.
Right? Okay.
So if you're not aware, they actually sell their full self-driving software separately.
Oh.
So what happens is like you can actually subscribe to it's like a software basically. It is a software, right, basically.
It reminds me of that BMW car seating hit. I don't know if you saw recently in the news. BMW, for the electric cars, you can actually pay for a subscription for heating the cars.
That's
the
crazy.
Car seat. Yeah. So anyway, yes, continue. Yes.
But I would say like BMW is a bit crazy for doing that, because like Tesla does that. It comes with the car, basic stuff. But the software itself, like full self-driving, not everyone would want it, But then for the people who want it, you can opt in, and then you pay like a subscription. So that's kind of like where the passive income comes in for Tesla. For every car that they sell, they still get to generate more income.
Interesting.
And that's kind of like why also, right, they are very like Tesla in particular. I'm not sure if you've seen like reviews or like critics, right, saying that they don't have like the right to actually service the car.
Okay.
They basically have to service the car with Tesla.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why like Elon's like keeping it with him. He's not letting people service their Teslas, like how Apple doesn't let people service their iPhones.
It's that whole, like, they're kind of like bypassing the whole mechanic industry in a way, right? Like in Malaysia, they're like Toyota, but they're not Toyota mechanics, right? They're like people who can service Toyota.
Independent guys.
I see. So he will have to design the car in a way that only he can fix it, lah.
Kind of. I mean, it is possible that he designed the car like that, but it's kind of like Apple in a sense, even if you bring to some guy in Nokia shop, by the road, he can also repair the same thing.
Yeah.
But then
will it be as good, lah? Of course.
And the parts will be genuine,
right?
So that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like same thing with Apple, basically. Apple and their service.
So let's go into the AI portion of the discussion then, because again, I'm not an expert, but I do know the thing about AI, and of course, as an engineer, please correct me, right? Is that you need a lot of data, and it's a very like brute force way of learning, right?
Yes.
We call it machine learning, all these cool words, but really it's just like iteration after iteration.
Yep.
And does this mean that they will have superiority only in certain geographies? Because how are you gonna get the same kind of data in China? Will you be allowed to do that, right?
It depends on like I would say like there's many aspects as to how they work towards this, because like if we're talking strictly about image recognition, so you can identify what's a car, what's a human, and humans are kind of the same everywhere. Cars are kind of the same everywhere.
Yeah.
And trucks are the
Unless
same
it's
everywhere.
like Halloween and it dresses as a car.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be quite dangerous on the streets of California. Yeah. So yeah.
But I do get your point about like different geographical locations, because like different countries, you will have different sets of rules that some cars drive on the left, some cars drive on the right. Some cars, some countries you can turn left on red, some you can't.
Left side, right side of the road, things like that.
But I would say they are quite experienced, because like the best place to actually do this, right, is actually freaking America.
Yeah.
Because America has like 50 states. There's like 50 countries there. Every country has a different government. They have different rules. Some states you can do this, some states you cannot. And that also applies to their traffic situation. So in a sense, they also have like the full spectrum in terms of like climate. They have the cold climate.
Yes.
They will go down south. You have like the tropics.
Yeah. Midwest, hurricanes. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's the best place to be collecting data for them.
Right. So I was just thinking about this. So if that would be local to the US, and of course the US market is very big already. But when they go to other countries, how do they, I guess, I don't know the right word, replicate this?
Well, the underlying AI, it has, when the finished product, right, it will contain set of like algorithms or rules to say like, what you can do, what you cannot do. So those are things that are fundamental to the full self-driving. And then like when you go to different countries, there will be different set of rules to obey the traffic.
Yep.
The whole traffic situation.
Then I guess they'll find like the state that has like the most similar.
No, they will just recode everything, and then they will slowly collect data.
Okay.
And then from there they retrain the model, and then they improve the model from there. So it's like a iteration
from
thing.
Scratch kind of mentality, like in a way.
Not to say it really starts from scratch, but I would say like it's just like improving or adapting to the place. The AI will actually adapt to the place with it with its new rules and stuff like that. So that's how it evolves.
So how about the question about this? I'm sure you've gotten this before, like the charging situation, because to pump petrol, it's 30 seconds, a minute.
Yeah.
Charging,
overnight.
A phone itself really takes like, even if you get the really good charger, from 0 to 100 is like an hour maybe.
Yeah, that's definitely like I'm going to be critical. I would say like that's one part that electric vehicles still have to improve.
Yeah,
because like in terms of range, I don't think it loses out in terms of range. But when it comes to like recharging, then you have to go to like a supercharger to recharge, or you have to plug in. If you forget to plug in at home, then you're dead. Or you can only go to places with electric chargers.
Yeah.
So it's kind of restricting in that way, which I think like in the future, definitely as they improve the battery capacity, they improve the charging speed, that's stuff like that. It will definitely become more advanced and more on par with like what we have with like gas vehicles.
I mean, since you're in the engineering space, then I have to ask you, this whole idea of Wi-Fi charging, is this a like, I mean, if 5G comes through or 6G, whatever it is, I do know that the towers need to be closer to each other. Like they have to build way more than whatever 4G or 3G is producing, right?
Definitely.
So do you think it's feasible for Wi-Fi charging? In other words, we may never have to charge the car anymore because we are charging while we are driving.
Well, yeah.
Is that even possible? I don't know. It's a wild idea.
I think in like the Northern Europe countries, right, they are embarking on projects to actually charge electric vehicles wirelessly while on the road.
That's crazy. But it sounds very expensive.
Yeah, it is expensive,
Yeah.
and also it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, because you would have to put charges all around town,
Yeah.
you have, every time when you build roads, you have to put in your, or like you want to upgrade certain towns, you have to dig up all the roads. It's crazy.
Right. Okay. So what I guess worries you have with Tesla? Because I obviously you have a lot of positive views on it, but is there something that kind of worries you that you always kind of have to check to make sure that they don't fall behind or whatever?
If you ask me whether I'm concerned about Tesla at its current state, probably no. But as an investor, I do look out for execution. So like, Elon tends to overpromise a lot. So like, but then he delivers.
Eventually,
that's like the famous quote out there, right? So as an investor, as a Tesla investor, I think it's pretty important to be critically honest with yourself.
Yep.
And then check for execution.
Right.
So like, let's say what they did with AI Day, right? So AI Day, they basically said they are going to build this robot. So that's going to be like something that happens 10, 20 years down the road. But we can already see in the that they are hiring a lot of AI guys, AI people. So number one, that's like human resources there. First step taken. So I'll call that like execution.
Right. So I mean, before we move on to the next talk, right? I think this is important. This is a chance for you to tell our listeners. What do you think that? What are some of the few things that people should stop saying about Tesla? So I guess one would be Tesla is just a car company, right? I think that it is predominantly a car company, but to say that it is just a car company, I think that's false, right?
They are evolving. They are evolving. They started off as a car company, definitely,
right.
But now they are headed towards renewables, headed towards AI.
Right. So what are some things that you think people should just stop saying about?
Nah, I don't have like say pet peeves.
Okay, no pet peeves.
Like
okay.
say whatever you want, guys.
Fantastic. Okay, so you know what? I have Plantain next, but I think we'll leave that. We'll give Aaron some chance on that, right? We'll let Aaron share his thoughts. The next one is actually Square.
Square.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Square. Right. That I mean, if you are a shareholder in the past year,
I was a shareholder.
It has been quite painful, and I guess you exited it, right? Like why is that? What made you change your mind?
Well, basically, it's a red ocean. The industry, fintech is a red ocean. So like, I was fascinated with like what they were doing because like what they had on the side on top of like Venmo was like kind of like a Bitcoin custodial wallet thing going on. Yep. So that's kind of like for Malaysian listeners, that's kind of like Luno. So they had like a Luno and a PayPal combined.
Yep.
So it's quite I would say like for the crypto community, that's quite the thing.
Yeah.
Because like on top of that, like he's also enabling merchants to be paid, or receive things in like crypto. So that's like a really good innovation by Jack Dorsey. Right. But like there's a couple reasons why I sold up. But the biggest reason was like the space is just a red ocean at this point because like you have like bigger players like PayPal, and then more traditionally you have the banks. They're all hopping on like the train, of like going digital wallets, and then more into the future you have like crypto wallets. So in a sense, like fintech, all this, like if you collectively call it fintech, it's quite crowded, and there's like no clear winner as to like who has like the real dominant position in the industry.
How do you think that the industry can reach the credit card kind of situation? Because in credit card there is a duopoly or maybe a triopoly, right? Visa, MasterCard.
Yeah.
I guess that is probably something that you much prefer to see in this space.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And what needs to happen? Like, how do you think that's going to happen?
Well, I would say like for finance, because of the nature of like cryptocurrencies, right? it's quite impossible to become a sole player in the space anymore.
Fair enough.
So like it's all decentralized in the end. So it will not matter who's bigger or who's like smaller, because in the end of the day, you all go back to the same network.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but then,
the question becomes which network you want to be on.
yeah.
So, like for me personally, I like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and
Right.
that's about it.
Right. And so, yeah, we'll talk about crypto right later on. So, okay. Now, going back to Elon, I know one guy one company you're very interested in is Starlink.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I actually have not done any work on it. So maybe for a complete noob, what is Starlink? What are they trying to achieve? And why are you excited about it?
So Starlink is basically a spin-off or subsidiary, you like to call it, of SpaceX. So SpaceX launches the rockets, and then they release satellites, which are Starlink.
Okay.
So these satellites provide internet.
Aha.
Yes.
To
Whoever in the world or wherever they can reach.
I see.
Yeah. So it's basically an internet service provider
By
that's
space.
global.
Right.
So it does not matter whether you are TM or Verizon or like whoever.
Right.
Your competition will be Elon. He's coming.
So what is okay? So, but what's the status right now? Because you mean one satellite can do it for the whole world already?
No. I'm not exactly sure on the tech as well.
Okay, sure.
So, but it takes like 4 satellites to reliably provide a set amount of area on Earth.
Okay.
Stable satellite or stable internet connection.
Right. On an engineering front, right? How does it stack up to your undersea cables, your fiber optics? In terms of because at the end of the day, it's what the consumer wants, right? Speed, reliability, make sure it's stable, doesn't DC, things like that.
Yeah. I would say here's the fun part lah. I would say the competition. Wow, I just say that the competition is coming, but I don't mean for the competition is coming for the places which are already developed with these fiber
with the
optics.
infrastructure. Okay,
Because like this market is quite big.
Yeah.
And like when you need to build physical infrastructure for things like this, and on top of that, people are already talking about 5G. The internet service providers, they are very busy with like upgrading infrastructure instead of like expanding into new territories. So to the point where 50% of the world, I'm not sure like of how accurate this statistics is, but this is from like what people who talk about Starlink always say. But 50% of the world still doesn't have access to internet.
Okay.
So these ISPs or internet service providers, they are not physically present in these 50% of the world, and that's where Starlink comes in. And
right.
That's 50% for the taking.
So I guess my follow-up question would be, I mean, typically when it comes to the internet and telcos, it's very the government wants control. Right?
Yeah.
And they're not gonna let or at least I would assume they will be very wary of letting, a finger trigger happy tweeter, right?
Madman.
Madman control their internet, right? So
Yeah.
how do you that doesn't mean that he can't go into the business, but certainly that will be an obstacle, right? Do you have a response to that?
Well, I would say it depends on like how neutral Elon can be in terms of it, like the data that goes through his satellites. He has to be like completely neutral to be able to earn the trust of like all the governments around the world.
Right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, off the top of my head, he could probably be a backup for people rather than the main one. Right?
I mean, that actually happened in the Ukraine war.
Yes, I remember that. Right, he actually provided internet for.
But that's what I like to call a proof of concept. Basically, he can deploy the satellites as he likes at exactly where he wants, whenever he needs it. So that's like proof of concept.
Right, he is Iron Man. Actually, now that you mentioned this, right, I remember Google a while back coming up with Wi-Fi hot air balloons. I don't know if you remember these news.
No, I don't.
They wanted to, they were in Google, in India. I think they were testing this out. They were like, or was it Amazon? One of those two, Google. They were just throwing hot air balloon Wi-Fi. So competition for Starlink, balloon.
I guess so. I don't
balloons.
know. It's interesting stuff.
Yeah. So okay. Now I want to go into the crypto and metaverse, and just before that, I think maybe give us a case of like why is the metaverse going to be a big thing, and we'll talk about Unity right after that because they're right. So what is the case for the metaverse?
Well, the thing with like metaverse for me personally, is a case for better visualization in terms of like graphics.
Yep.
So playing games, growing up, you always play in like 2D, and then slowly, nowadays
VR.
you have like 3D, and then it's the natural progression to go into VR, and then it's probably the next step because it's kind of like the 4D thing going on. Even like the people from like Instagram or like Facebook or Mark Zuckerberg himself, he said this, like when he invented Facebook, it was just posting text. So that was like 1D, right? And then slowly you add in more elements like videos,
Images, things.
images. So images is kind of like the 2D moment for him. And then you add in videos. That's the 3D moment for him. So that's kind of like you add on like progressively a layer of sensory for the people, because like reading text, you don't get like that sensory hit. But then you when you like listen to a song, you get that different sensory information, but from a music and then from text, right? That's from on your eyes, on your ears, and then when you go into like videos, it's both. So the information that you absorb is double. Or
That's why
exponentially.
videos are always like easier to consume than
exactly.
reading blog posts. Yeah.
Exactly. So I would say like that's the natural progression of like social media in a sense, because like when you add on like an extra layer of like sensory information on your brain, people would be naturally more would absorb more information, because like you will feel, when you feel things like touch or like 3D, it's different, so that's what I guess the so-called metaverse is going for.
So like specific with Unity, right? Are you still a shareholder? Or
no, actually sold.
Right. And is it similar to Square where like you don't know who's the winner?
No.
It's totally different reason.
It's a totally different reason. It's just I don't think the TAM is like the total addressable market is
for
strong
metaverse.
enough.
Really?
No, not for the metaverse, but for the for Unity. So like, let me ask you a question, right? In terms when you talk about like game development, so there are parties like the gamers, the players, and then there's like the people who provide the game engine. So things like Unreal Engine, Unity, and then there's also the game developers. So among these three groups, right, who actually profits the most?
If I'm not mistaken, the developers. Right?
So it's kind of like, so buying Unity in a sense is kind of like buying the shovel instead, the pick instead of the shovel. So,
right. Do you see the latest Unreal 5?
Well, there's no competition, man.
It's real life. It's actually real life. I saw the BMW. Yeah, it's real life. I showed my friends. Oh, nice car. I said, no, it's not an actual car. It's a fake car. Huh?
Crazy, man.
Yeah, I saw then the raindrop. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know which PC is gonna be able to take that, but that will be interesting. But then why not? Why not? If Unity is too small, or at least it's only like a portion of the metaverse, why not Meta itself, Facebook?
Yeah, I'm actually considering Meta.
Okay.
So it's on my watch list.
Right.
But I want to see some execution.
Right.
First, before I make a position. Because like I have no doubt that Mark Zuckerberg can make it happen. Because like he saw this 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like he was preparing for it,
Right.
Like and he has close to like 100% dominance in the VR coding, like
With
all the tech,
Oculus lah,
with
right?
Oculus, exactly.
Right. I mean, he is known to buy like dominant, like winner take all kind of company, like Instagram, WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Is there others?
Yeah, I think those are the
two big ones.
purchases.
Yeah, and I know he's a really good investor in that sense because WhatsApp has been so bad for 10 years. It has not improved. No. But when you actually survey, do you have WhatsApp or Telegram, or do you check WhatsApp more or Telegram more?
Yeah,
the vast majority of people say WhatsApp. It's just mind-boggling. And it's so bad now. I don't know if you noticed this, right? Do you use WhatsApp on your desktop?
Yeah.
So the desktop one, when you type, so it appears there. Then when you go back to your phone, right, they have to like keep like how to put it? It's like lagging,
yeah. There's like this time lag,
and there's no such thing on Telegram.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but people still prefer WhatsApp. It's amazing.
It's momentum.
Yeah. And yeah, so specific to Facebook, right? Do you think that their whole entry into the metaverse is very it's a bit too extreme, right? All the way from the 20 billion capex a year and the renaming.
Yeah. No, I think
Right.
he's pulling the right move.
Right.
Because like obviously I kind of like feel a lot of people would disagree with me, but social media has evolved enough. Not to say like it won't evolve in the future, but I would say like
I think with TikTok is devolving probably.
Yeah. I mean,
I know because I'm devolving, so my mind is devolving every night watching TikTok. But yeah, okay.
It's kind of
I
like
can see where you're coming from.
It's kind of like innovation is no longer exciting in this space anymore because it's social media company after social media company. You've got like the Pinterest, and then you've got like Snapchat, and then now it's TikTok, and all of them, they put up a chart saying that TikTok in the first 5 years earned more than Meta in their first 10 years and stuff like that. It's true, but like at that point, this is because of like how much of like mobile phone penetration that like nowadays TikTok have versus Facebook. So it's a different game that they're playing,
right?
But going back to the point of like social media, I don't think like I mean, it's at heart, right? Social media serves the purpose of like connecting people online. So it doesn't matter like which community. Say like the professional one, you have LinkedIn, and then you have like Facebook. You got like the TikTokers and stuff like that. So and the YouTubers, they make content and stuff like that. But like that's kind of like it's getting stagnant in a way. Like I can't really explain like why, but like I feel it's getting a bit stagnant. And then like I also feel that we need like the next we kind of like need the next big thing for social media, because that's where like Mark Zuckerberg really understands, because like of the whole sensory thing, because he kickstarted the whole Instagram thing, and then he added also first to add videos onto like Instagram. It's just that TikTok took it, made it better.
As usual, it's the same story. America creates something and China makes it better. Yeah,
but innovation always comes from
correct.
But in terms of like social media, it's Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah,
it's Mark Zuckerberg, and that's kind of like why like I think he's headed towards the right direction, even if like the pivot was kind of like shocking.
Yeah,
he had to rename his company to Meta. He had to throw like 20 billion into a loss-making kind of thing. But if you go to like America and you ask like youth nowadays, they do use Oculus a lot. They do use
really.
So it's like something what the cool kids would have, like kind of like what PS1 and 2 is for us.
Yeah.
So like when it has that kind of status, right? Within the youth, it will grow into something that's like really it sticks with the youth, when they grow up, and they'll have this Oculus.
It's the Ready Player One thing, right? The movie.
But like going into like whether it's like suitable for work and stuff like that, I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
I'll let him figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, the big challenge now is the specifically for Oculus is that motion sickness thing. I think
exactly.
People find that quite challenging.
No,
It's
I
not pleasant.
wouldn't be able to use an Oculus.
I tried using it lah. It's really it's not that fun lah. We should bring this into the next time, because the one thing to solve this motion sickness or whatever is actually AR, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you have done like research on AR.
Wow. I mean, I dabbled a bit, but
Okay.
I'm not an expert or anything.
Okay, fine. Then we can move on. So like, I think, like the next part linked to this whole metaverse thing is definitely crypto, right?
Yeah.
Is the case for crypto as simple as? I mean, do you have divergent opinions on the typical case for crypto? Because I think a lot of people know the case, right? It's decentralized. The Federal Reserve cannot manipulate it. We're gonna pump this sort of money printing, and Bitcoin's gonna go up. It's a better payment system, things like that.
I mean, it's pretty much the usual story for me.
Right.
But I guess I can explain my rationale why I only hold
The
Ethereum and
the grandfather coins.
the grandfather, boomer coins. Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing wrong with like wanting to hold altcoins. I think they do make like really good so-called moonshot positions.
Yeah.
So sometimes like you never know, Dogecoin return like 1,000x in a year, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, my friend paid for his wedding thanks to Dogecoin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's wonderful, But
sorry, his engagement ring. Sorry, not his wedding.
Oh, but still, that's an achievement right there.
Yeah, but it's actually a huge Tiffany ring. But I'll tell you after the podcast, off the record. Yeah.
Oh, Tiffany, but the thing is like why I only hold I'm by no means a very sophisticated tech person.
Right.
Because like I only know my field and I know a bit of programming. I won't claim, because I've never formally studied for it, but like I do understand it on like not to say surface, but like a little bit more slightly advanced.
Okay.
But for crypto, it's a very complicated field. But in terms of like why I hold just Bitcoin and Ethereum, the arguments are basically the same for like what you just mentioned for Bitcoin. It's basically the best, most secure payment system. Most importantly, it's immutable transfer, which Aaron likes to say a lot. Basically, nobody can stop you from transferring money in and out. So that's plus. And we've never really had anything like this throughout the history of like humankind. So and most importantly, right, because it operates through the internet, it's a currency that can be anywhere, anytime. So you don't have to like go through like governments, change your forex and stuff like that. So yeah, but that's Bitcoin. And then for Ethereum, the case is very, very simple. It's basically what you would have. What if Bitcoin was programmable?
Yep.
So that's Ethereum, and the underlying language for it is Solidity. So and I can go on and on, but basically the case for Ethereum is they are the first movers for programmable blockchain.
Yeah.
So nowadays, like when you look at like the whole ecosystem, right, the DeFi's, the stable coins and stuff like that, everything freaking runs on Ethereum. Not to say everything, but like I would say a good 80% of it. Some of it, like 5% runs on Solana, some like other chains, but the chains that the alt chains that particularly do well are chains supporting Ethereum, which I'm not surprised, because like say Polygon or like what they call Matic, it's also like a side chain for Ethereum, and it's again one of the first few movers advantage, where you build up like a very huge ecosystem, and then you have the first movers momentum. Mm-hmm. So going forward, like even if like WhatsApp is shit, right? I'm sorry. But,
no, it's fine. Yeah.
WhatsApp is like bad, and then your Telegram is better, but people still use WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Because the ecosystem is there, people are like comfortable with it. It's going to be the kind of like the same with Ethereum.
Fair enough. So speaking of like what we talk about Tesla and the tech stocks and crypto now. This year has been challenging, right? Very very challenging.
Very challenging.
And I do know you write a lot. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but you do give your thoughts on like dealing with market crashes, right?
Yeah.
And there's always this debate on should you be holding cash to buy it when it's lower, buy it when the dip, or do you just stay fully invested all the time? What are your thoughts about this, like handling market crashes?
Well, me and Aaron, we did like an episode on like our podcast, RI21, but basically it's called All In.
All in.
All In.
All in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like it goes to prove, it goes to like tell that we both are always invested.
Right.
100%.
Okay.
So I don't keep cash. The cash that I keep is basically for like daily use.
Right.
So if I can, I would pour more money into my holdings, but I don't believe in like keeping cash, because like frankly speaking, this is just human psyche, right? No ill intentions, but like most of the time, if you hold like a big enough position in cash, when the market crash, what I notice with people, right, is that they don't execute. They don't put the money in because they would say, I'm kind of scared, or I think the market will dip further.
Yeah, true.
And by the time that they actually miss out on like the 1 day 20% spike or 10% spike, it'll be too late already. Because like there's actually this study done by like I think it was like JP Morgan way back. Basically between a 10-year time frame, I can't remember exactly which one, but if you lose out on the 10 best days on the market, you miss out like half of the returns.
Yeah.
So that's why I mean, volatility is scary. You hold on to it. You will see like you will also like ride the roller coaster down, even if it's like the biggest crash in history as usual. But what people don't talk about is like the roller coaster also goes back up.
Yeah.
So volatility kind of like works both ways.
Yep.
So you definitely want to miss the ride down, but then you don't want to miss the ride up, which I think like it goes back to the point of like not timing the market, because like how could you foresee something that's so fast? It goes down, has like a nice bounce. How would you be able to foresee that?
Yeah. No one can.
Yeah, exactly. No one can. So like I just try to stay 100% invested, DCA when I can.
Yeah, I mean, of course, ideally, if we can, sell the top, buy the bottom, right? Buy low, sell high, right? But given that we can't, I do agree that being fully invested in good assets,
definitely,
right, is the way to go. And if you have if you have like active income, and it grows and whatever side hustle, then you have even lesser excuses to not be fully invested.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, because technically your cash balance will keep increasing as a result of your income.
Yes.
And so you can play around that sense. But I guess for a retiree, maybe a little bit different. They're probably at the stage where they don't need.
Yeah, I would say like for people who retire, right, you don't need to take the risk anymore. Because like probably at that point of time, it's probably the time that you should be spending.
Right.
Like you don't want to risk your retirement like that.
Right. Okay. I did find one post that you talked about very fascinating, which is about Moore's law. And I guess Moore's law is like underpins a lot of our discussion with tech, right? I mean, it is because of that law, or at least the discovery of that law, that we are seeing a lot of the growth that we're seeing today.
Yeah.
And of course, there are some concerns that with miniaturization, right? I mean, you have to start creating subatomic products. Right?
Exactly.
So, but what are your thoughts? Because I do know this is quite a big debate in the community, right? Because of the word law. I mean, people use the word law, right?
Yeah.
And so people think it's like gravity. Like you drop the apple this way, it will always go one
because
direction.
Of gravity. Gravity is law.
Yeah, and it's a law, right? Yeah. Newton's law or whoever's law, right? So What are your thoughts on Moore's law? Because right now, at least, because I look at TSMC data quite a bit, and the chip companies, because I'm invested in companies that are linked to these chip makers, and they're already at, I want to say 3 nanometer already.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's matter of time when it hit 1, or I don't know what's the next one. It's always what 7, 5, 3, and then 1 the next one. And then after 1 it's like what 0.3. I don't know.
I mean, for this, right, like Moore's law, basically kind of like it's kind of like a law for the semiconductor industry.
Correct.
So it basically states that I can't remember exactly the law, but for the same amount of price, you are able to put in more transistors, or exactly double the transistors into the same machine for the same amount of price in like a given time frame. And then this is all good when there's a lot of room for improvement. So like what you just mentioned just now, they have to start going subatomic really. That's really difficult. But like when you are talking about like going from 70 nanometer to 30 nanometer,
that's easy.
Yeah, that's easy. You know, and the law holds true during the early stages of like the kind of like improvement, because like these improvements, right, tend to happen in like a curve, exponential curve. So I think this idea was like brought forward by a ARK Invest analyst, where they say Moore's law is dead, which I totally agree. And the better law to like kind of like govern all this exponential performance increase and like cost declines is Wright's law.
What? Wright's law? Okay.
Yeah. But basically, like Moore's law, it does hold true in the early years where like innovation was still kind of like easy compared to today, because like for what we are doing today is like pushing limits to like the real limits. But at that point of time when during our ancestors, like they were going from like 30 to like 10 nanometer, or like 70, 100 to like 70. You know, there was a lot of room for them to improve, and it was not hard, you know. But as the years go by, the innovation gets like more and more difficult, because like you have to go into nanotechnology already.
Of course.
At this point, right, you still can see with your eyes and all that. And yeah, you know, if you ask me like whether the conductors nowadays, the computer chips, right, they are doing good at this front, I won't say they're doing any good, like because like for NVIDIA, while they are like you know, industry leaders in GPUs, graphical processing units, what they're doing is basically doubling the energy usage. So they have like double the transistors, but they also double the energy use. So what's the point, right? That's not efficient at all from an engineering point of view.
Right.
So like nowadays when you play a game, you actually make a difference with like say an RTX 3090, right? You actually make a difference to the house electric bills. You do. Yeah. But like those days, like GTX 1080 Ti's, you know, that was like the performance king. You know, you get like good performance for like optimal power usage, you know. But yeah.
So what is Wright's law?
So basically, Wright's law is like for every like cumulative amount of like products that you produce for the certain thing, you are able to kind of like reduce the cost.
Okay.
And then that's kind of like natural law, right? Like with scale, you can kind of like reduce the expenses. But then what's different here is that like some companies, some products, they are able to execute this cost decline by like a next level, like a exponentially. They can reduce the cost decline because thanks to technology. When you save time, you know, when you save like simplify certain processes, that becomes like money that or savings that the company takes on.
Right. Sorry, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. So we are at 3 nanometers now. Then we approach 0, right? We asymptote the thing, right?
Yeah.
So is it going to be the case where essentially we will stop at a certain size and that we will have to find a different way to cut costs? Are we going to stagnate like that? Like, what are the, at least in your reading, what are the brightest mind thinking of like the different creative ways they can work around this? Because at some point they will approach very close to zero, and like I said, we have to go subatomic. I mean, unless I'm wrong, maybe there is already subatomic. I don't know, like quantum mechanics or whatever, right?
Yeah.
We don't know, right? Mm-hmm. And like, but is that the likely scenario? Because that seems to be the osmosis right now, right? We are going to reach a point where that TSMC is going to just build the same chips for the next 30 years, the exact same one. Whereas now, like every 3-5 years, they introduce a new one.
I mean, like, if you mentioned this, right? So TMSC, they basically built like another fab in Arizona.
Yes,
but this is like historically the first fab that they expanded
because it's too expensive. Yeah.
So like building a fab is like a very dangerous venture, basically, because like if you follow the semiconductor space, you would actually understand like I mean, I'm not an electrical engineer, but I do follow it a bit out of interest. But from what I can see, right, like a lot of these companies that set out to build fabs,
right,
they fail.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
It's like what, 3 to 5 billion?
Yeah.
I mean, Malaysia, just to give you a sense, we have one called DNEX.
Yes.
And we lost 10 billion ringgit before we started making profit.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're only doing like 100 to 70 nanometers, I want to say. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. But where were we again?
Like, what's the next step after we hit the plateau? Because if this because okay, look, the context of Moore's law is that the march of tech is in one direction.
Yes.
Right? But if there's this limitation,
oh right, yeah,
is the march going to stop? Are we going to just?
Well, I think like in terms of like the making things like going subatomic, right? Maybe it might happen, you know.
Right.
Because like there's like a very huge movement in like a nanotechnology as well. It's one of the few fields that's like getting really a lot of like attention as well. But so far there's like no real public listed company that's like worth investing.
I mean, so exciting. I mean, the way they activate that what's that that CERN Hadron Collider thing?
Oh, I don't know, man.
It's so expensive. It looks expensive. It looks straight out of
like sci-fi
like
movie.
A plasma cannon, you know. They stole it from the Death Star or something like that. Yeah, so it's so expensive. Like how? Like I mean, okay, like I mean, obviously, maybe put you on the spot there. But I mean, I'm just genuinely interested to know like when does it?
I mean, like for me, it's a philosophical question.
Right.
At some point, like maybe someone would say that it's not worth to pursue going smaller.
Yeah, then we just go bigger lah.
Yeah, or maybe they just pursue like a totally different way, like quantum computing. You know, we might not know, because there's like quantum computers that can crack things. You know what happens? Like there's like a very popular argument against cryptocurrencies where
quantum can mess with them, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like, would that happen? You know, I don't know. I'll let the network figure that out. You know.
Yeah. I mean, quantum is 100 years time.
Because at this point of time, right, like tech like this, like what you mentioned with the plasma cannon, it's expensive. You know, it's not suitable for like mass production. Yeah, it's something that you have to break the bank to incorporate into your pipeline. Right. So you know, at this point of time, maybe like down 20-30 years, maybe, you know, might see some company crazy enough to do that. You know, that'll be the next Tesla that we will invest in. Maybe, you know, who knows? Yeah. But at this point, like next 10-20 years, I don't see this happening.
So I mean, you mentioned philosophy just now. So we'll move into a completely different segment now, which is like mental models, because I know you're also a big fan of mental models. And I've listed a few here that I find very interesting. I think the first is first principles thinking. This is from straight out of Elon, right? Yeah, exactly. And he always draw a distinction between this and he call it reasoning by analogy. I think like we learn, most of us, through understanding something by comparing it to something that we understand before or something that has happened before.
Yeah.
Whereas first principle thinking is a lot more conducive for creating creative minds, where you take the givens of anything and from there you try to construct some sort of solution or some sort of conclusion, right?
Yeah.
It's very theoretical, but how would you explain this, and why do you think this is a good way to think?
Like first principles thinking, right? Is basically taking a problem,
Right.
and you boil it down to its most simple form, like most basic forms. So like you have a problem, right? How are you gonna solve it? So by first you simplify a problem like an algebra question.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what first principle thinking is. So you simplify it to a point where you can see like very distinct sub problems that you need to solve, and you tackle it one by one. So how like for the PayPal Mafia's case, right?
Right.
They were like all first principle thinkers. It's actually a Stoic
Right. We'll
way
get
of
to that
thinking.
right after this. Yeah.
But they all had a problem that they wanted to solve, and then they basically boiled it down to its most primitive forms, and then they solved it one by one, and they looked at the sub elements, and they go, how can I make this 10 times better? So there has to be a way that sort of like exists to make like a certain thing go 10 times better, 10 times faster.
Yep.
And then when you are able to like make all these sub problems 10 times better, you put them together, it becomes 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's first principle thinking in their context. That's why they are so successful.
Right. How would you give a concrete example? Because, so, I mean, for people who understand the language, I think it's easy, but in real life or in concrete examples, what are some of the, I guess, examples you can give on this?
Tesla's a really good example.
Right.
So the goal is very simple. For Elon, he wants to build an electric vehicle that is cheap. So he basically had to think of ways to make a car run on electric. But then you also have a problem where the battery is kind of shit. So that's why he took the battery matter into his own hands. And when the car is operational,
right,
like you mentioned now, he will have like problems where he's not able to get that marginal passive income from like cars like the manufacturers. That's why he's going into AI. So like, you know, his actions are always quite or his business decisions really are mostly out of like solving problems.
You can trace the logic of these solutions.
Exactly. So
whether you agree with it or not is a separate question.
Yes.
But at least you can see there's a link.
Yes.
It was thought through based on past action.
Yes.
Right.
It links one to another basically.
So how does this first principle thinking like links to Stoicism? Right. I've always heard that the word Stoic is for people who have no feelings, right?
It's not to say like no feelings.
At least that is a perception or misconception depending on how you look at it, and it's not something that's well practiced. In some cases, frowned upon as well, right? We have the other side of this ism, which is hedonism, right? Some sort of
I guess so.
In a way, lah. I mean, there are many. Hedonism has many enemies also. But how does it link to like Stoicism? Like why is this important? Why is it important to be Stoic?
I think
maybe it's
like,
not important. Right?
For like Stoicism, right? It's a very holistic way of like thinking through, not just to kind of like control your emotions,
right,
but also to do things with like a very calm mind. So it's kind of like. And like for most problems, right, like in life in general, like when you have like a problem thrown at you, like for myself, like sometimes I would just go like berserk, I would like throw tantrums and
I see.
Be sad, be very reactive towards problems.
Right.
But then like it doesn't make the problem go away, right? So like Stoicism is basically like a way of thinking to kind of like solve problems in a very calm manner. For me, at least, that's my interpretation.
Right. So one criticism of Stoicism has always been that, like I mean, I jokingly mentioned just now, but it's a real criticism that eventually someone becomes cold, right? And one example, do you watch Game of Thrones?
Sorry?
Do you watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
So I mean, a good example would be someone like Tywin Lannister. Right? He would fit the bill more. I mean, few people fit the bill. He would fit the bill quite closely. And although you can respect someone like Tywin, he's not someone you
trust your life with,
and probably not a friend. You probably a good commander, probably a reliable guy, but you're like, right. So that has always been the criticism of Stoicism, because of course the practical value of what you just described of something bad happens and you have to like center yourself to manage the external volatility, and so that's great. But then at the same time, when you do that, you start developing that coldness, that hard exterior that people say. And what ends up happening is that you bring this into the real world, and then people start being not able to talk to you, relate to you, or things like that. Like, how do you respond to that?
I mean, it depends on like the context you're applying Stoicism to.
Right.
Like, for me, it's mainly investing, anger management, because like I have a very short fuse. I can slam tables in my office sometimes.
Really,
it's that bad, lah. So I know it's bad, but like,
do you do it like in response to a mistake that you make, or other people, or both?
Yeah, both, because I'm just angry. Like,
right. Okay.
Yeah, but it's kind of like Hulk, but I'm just angry. But something that I'm trying to like manage better, be better. But then like I especially like when you mention how you become cold when you practice like Stoicism, which I think in this sense, right, becoming cold towards your investments is a great thing.
Yeah,
it's a great thing, because like if you're too attached to a stock,
it's
you
time to marry your investments.
Yeah, when it's time to go, you go. You don't. No point sticking to it. Right. What happens if I like my glove stocks a little too much? Right. So 2 years down the road, I'm dead.
Yeah.
But it really depends on like what kind of context you're applying Stoicisms to. So like I don't think like sometimes like family relationships or like girlfriend boyfriend relationships, sometimes you do need to have that distance, not to say distance in between, but like depending on like how close you are, it's really situational, I would say. Right.
Have you personally faced issues with this before, like where of course I think what you described is maybe more the tantrum part, but the reverse of
being able to manage,
like the interpersonal relationship, has it been a challenge or not an issue?
Yeah, I think it helped me a lot.
Right.
Like say like with my anger management, when I do it better, it just generally improves the mood of the people around me a lot. Okay.
Okay, that's good to know. So why that is important? So it links to the next mental model, which is fallacies and biases when it comes to data interpretation, right? I think that's something we also talked about. One of the reasons we have biases and which then results into fallacies is because of not being able to control and all that. But specifically to like what's the word? Yeah, like biases, right? What are some tips, not just from an investing point of view, but also from a personal point of view, that you would advise people to recognize that you have it, and how do you combat it? What are some of the top biases that you must get rid, or at least mitigate the negative effects?
When people are not honest with themselves.
Right. Okay, what do you mean?
That is, it's like they're too stubborn to admit that there's a problem.
Right.
When or like kind of like I would say like in life in general, right? This is quite damaging, but it hurts the most when we put it into like a financial context.
Okay.
So like let's say you have a stock, right? That stock's shit. It's not a stock that you should be holding on to.
Right.
People hold on to it, and then stubbornly, and then
Right.
you have to face the facts. Like let's say even if it's like a world class technological, like even if it's like Tesla, right? If tomorrow Tesla doesn't decides to Elon wakes up and decides to like say we're gonna stop executing everything,
Yeah.
I'm gonna sell.
Yeah.
Because you gotta be critical when it comes to like investments. It's money that you're playing with. Like you are dealing with a business. You are an investor, so you have to assess the business that you invest in critically.
Right.
So that's kind of like where the Stoicism comes in, because like it helps you to think very clearly, not to be attached too much.
What are the causes of this sort of? I think the word is this bias called anchoring bias? Is that the correct one, or is it a sunk cost fallacy? Sunk cost
fallacy.
Usually it's a mix, right?
Yeah, it's a mix. I'd say.
Yeah. The sunk cost fallacy is one very interesting because I remember watching this video online, and how you can avoid sunk cost fallacy is that imagine like you what's the word? Yeah, like imagine you go to a grocery, you want to buy something, and then you go halfway, right? And then someone coming back from the grocery who you trust tells you that the grocery closed down already. You don't go and say, "Well, I've walked halfway already. Let me just walk there anyway," right?
Yeah.
I walk back, lah, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Don't waste time.
Yeah. So that's the. I just thought I'd share that story, which is the sunk cost. But what are the fallacies and or biases that you would get people to avoid? Because at least I only use the word avoid because you can't really avoid it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has it. But yeah, what are the fallacies or biases?
I mean, I don't have like the names of the biases.
You can explain it in a example. Yeah.
But like in essence, if like you ask me to explain in like one sentence, right, it's always going to be like be critically honest with yourself.
Okay.
And when it comes to like data, like company financials and all that, do your due diligence.
Right.
Like, take the data like seriously, like
Crunch it. Yeah.
And then like if it's not clear to you, plot it out.
Right.
When there's a line, there's like a better visualization.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. So there's this other rule that you mentioned. I thought I'd bring it up precisely because I know absolutely nothing about it. Bush-vail rules. What in the world is that?
All right. So basically, this is kind of like a chart to build for human resources people to build innovative teams.
Okay, so this is more of a management.
Yeah, it's a management theory.
Okay, what is it? What's the theory?
So basically, you have like very different people. Some that can lead, some that can innovate, some can do both, some that can only innovate. So you want to place people in their respective, like it's sort of like the quadrants, and then how you best utilize them, and then you pair them together or you don't pair them together.
Right.
And then like I think this is like a pretty interesting theory, human resources management theory that most investors should look out for if you're investing in tech, because like you want to see the company structured in a way it's like geared for innovation, but also they know they have the people or the departments to capitalize on the sales, to capitalize on like future expansions, and to basically manage the money. That's kind of like why I brought it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, but have you been? Do you apply this in your workplace? Do you have to manage people?
No, I don't. I'm just a junior, but
Oh, so you are managing the drafts and the plans and all that more rather than people, is it?
Sorry, what do you mean?
Like, do you you deal with what's the word engineers always use?
Grassroots?
No, not grassroots. The designs
Yeah.
Right, you do that more
I do. I basically execute the models and stuff.
So will you say that you are, because in the corporate world there's that typical distinction between the people person and the things person, right?
Yeah.
So will you say you are more the things person?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not a very
people person,
outgoing person.
It's probably very exasperating for you to deal with people, maybe because they're not up to your speed, or like there's a lot of time wasted.
I won't put it. I'm not far, but like,
Okay.
I just don't like talking to people sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is a miracle because we've been speaking for like what, one and a half hours or more. So thank you. It's an honor. Now I want to move on to your personal life because I realize we have quite a few things in common. But before that, one last bit about mental models is this guy Steven Pinker. So before I started investing, I had read about Steven Pinker, and I know that you have read books by Steven.
Yeah.
And I think his most famous one, I don't remember the exact book really, but I know the key message of the book, which is we used to be really bad. Enlightenment happened. Now we get aircon and Teslas, right? That's his whole thing. And he was saying that life was bad in the past because human expectancies, mortality rate, whatever is really bad. Today we don't have it. There are quite a few disagreements that we can get into later on that people have. But what are your thoughts about him? Do you agree? I don't remember. I think you gave his book like a 4 out of 5 or 3.5 out of 5.
I mean, it's a pretty heavy book.
Yeah.
I did like kind of like enjoy it, but like some of his views are like, you stretch the timeline long enough, innovation will naturally happen. That kind of stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, he's not wrong, like living standards today versus like, I don't know, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It's different, people expect different things. I don't think like the way that he's comparing things apple for apples, like today versus yesterday, it's kind of like, I don't think it's relevant.
I think there's several criticisms I have. I think the first is that like contentment or happiness or whatever for different societies, right? Like people like to, I'm sure you've heard it before, right? Like, old people are saying, back in my day I don't have aircon, or back in their parents' day, they had to like, cycle for electricity, something. They always have some
ride their
story
boat to the school or something.
Then in the boat they have to fight the water dragon or something like that. And I come to realize that actually it's the relative happiness because that's like through like hundreds or thousands of years comparison. But if you look at just present day, right? In theory, right, Singaporeans should never be unhappy.
Yeah, compared to like even like Malaysia,
Yeah.
I mean,
or like Bhutan or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that's because, like I said, they should be the happiest, right? And,
yeah, exactly.
And rich people should be the happiest.
But that's not the case, right?
Yeah, right. And so I think that's one. I think the second bit about the, what's the word? The life expectancy. So this life expectancy one is very, 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 very tricky because obviously it's very clear. People died in their 40s back in the day. And today, like the number's like 70, right? Something like that. But what they don't take into account is that a lot of people that died was because of war.
War, yeah.
You
sickness.
have to probably adjust for war, right? And it's almost like, I don't want to call it, I wouldn't say it's a conspiracy theory, but it's almost like a way to justify like high medical fees. Because it's like saying, you see, you pay so much money now because last time we got medicine, right? You break your leg, you just put it back, right?
Yeah.
And you see, you add 30 years of your life if you like, if you break your bank for medicine.
Yeah.
And I feel that is mini tinfoil hat conspiracy lah. Yeah. That's the only other criticism I have about Steven's book. I don't think the past is as bad as today lah.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just reading somewhere also, like I actually mentioned in a previous podcast that peasants, right? When we think of peasants, what do we think? Working under the sun and all that, right?
Yeah.
European peasants had 12-week holidays.
Yeah.
It's called winter.
Okay.
Yeah. They and here we have our leave is what 21 days.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky, exactly, right? Okay, so I think towards the end of the pod, right, I wanna talk a little bit about your personal life, cooking, right? I know you're big on cooking, right?
Yeah.
I have to eat one day for sure. Do you cook for people often?
Yeah. I cook for my girlfriend.
Nice. So what's your style? What's if you were to today, if you have, you made tons of money on Tesla or whatever, and now you get to build a restaurant that is aiming for a star, what would that restaurant be? And like, dream a bit.
Yeah, if I were to dream of it, yeah, maybe something like Asian fusion.
Okay, okay.
Kind of stuff. Because like I enjoy cooking Japanese and Korean,
Yeah.
and like more recently like mainland China kind of food.
Mainland China,
Yeah. Like the hot and spicy kind of like
or Swan.
Swan
You
La,
speak,
Mala.
you speak Mandarin, right?
Yeah.
Swan La Tang, like that, something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mala and the cold dishes, you know.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
It's China does have like a very dynamic food history, food culture.
Of course. Every region is different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, do you do you see cooking as like some sort of therapy? Because I know, like, it's not therapy to me. Because like I hate like like chopping garlic is quite a strain on my neck, because I think my home the table is not very high, so I have to like bend over and you know I have to chop, especially when I have to slice them, because to open the garlic, right, you have to remove the what's the husk. And the easy way is to smash it, right?
Yeah.
But that's if you want to dice it.
Yes.
But if you want to slice it, you have to keep the shape there, and you have to slowly peel out. So it's some cooking pet peeves. But do you see it as therapy? Because I know I had a former boss, right? He said like the sizzling of meat is his therapy.
Yeah, I would say it's therapy. The prep work when I'm
really, I hate it. Okay.
Chopping vegetables,
Really,
chopping meat. Yeah, it's quite the therapy for me,
What-
because
what-
like I
yeah.
work from home a lot.
Uh-huh.
So that's kind of like why like more recently I have like more time to actually cook at home.
Right.
So like my job is kind of stressful sometimes, like not to brag or anything, but
Right.
I do kind of like work very long hours. So you know I needed to find like a way to de-stress, and cooking has always been that channel that I de-stress.
So you have a very lucky girlfriend, that's what you're trying to say.
Oh no.
No. But I mean, so you cook breakfast, lunch, dinner. You prepare
No,
everything. You eat out sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes if I work from home all day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, lunch
Wow.
for myself, but like my girlfriend, she works in the office most of the time.
Oh.
Yeah, so like it's breakfast, lunch, dinner. But if I'm not feeling it, you know, sometimes like it's just sandwich for lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I brought on do you go into food science a lot? Like do you study
Like
how-
gastronomy and stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you?
I mean, I'm interested. You know, I do
Right.
watch like YouTube videos and stuff like that, but I don't really do it.
You know,
myself.
I'm gonna ask like this. It might be like a very insulting question, like, but I just discovered recently, a couple months ago, that you know, tomato has MSG.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's why it's so nice.
That's like the umami.
Yeah,
flavor
because you know,
going on.
like, okay, is tomato a vegetable or fruit?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know.
Right, right. So it grows on a tree, but you know,
It's kind of
looks
like a
fruit,
veg,
right?
but it tastes like a fruit.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I've asked you a question. Like, what's the hardest like dish you've made?
Hardest
Challenging.
dish.
That you're just like, yeah, you probably don't want to make it anymore. Too difficult.
Baking.
Agree. Yeah. Sorry. Go on. Tell me your reasons, and I'll tell you mine. Yeah.
No, I just like I'm the kind of guy like who doesn't like measurements. So-
What? As an engineer, that's interesting.
Like not to say like measuring out like my the ingredients and stuff like that. Like when you have like a set of rules and like a cookbook, right? It tells you to put like 1 tablespoon.
Step one, step
and
two.
step
yeah.
2, like 1 tablespoon, and like you know how many grams of like chicken, and like I'm not into this. Like
You need to agak. Right?
yeah,
You have to feel it.
yeah, it's all like from practice.
Actually, you know, that's totally true. Like, I've heard this said before, right? You know, cooking is art, baking is a science.
Yeah,
Have you said
yeah,
that?
it is.
And I always use the example of why I hate like baking so much. I mean, there are a lot of reasons. I mean, key among them would be like the absolute mess, because there's a lot of flour involved.
Yes.
I think you have to. Then, like, if you do any whisking, right? If you don't have like the proper machine, it's actually very, very difficult.
Yeah, it's torture.
Yeah.
Modern day torture.
It's very torturous. But the big one is this, you know. With cooking, the order is not important. So in theory, you, of course, ideally, right, when you fry something, let's say you put in like garlic first, So you can get the smell and then you put whatever, right?
Yeah.
But let's say, right, you forgot to put the garlic, you put the vegetable first or whatever meat you're cooking. They're like, oh no, I forgot the garlic. Then when you put it there,
Still tastes kind of same.
Yeah, it's about there, right?
Yeah.
But you can't put the egg after you put the icing.
Oh.
You know?
No.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that.
And that's what I hate. That is the thing that I don't really like. I'm glad you have that commonality. So if you think that is, baking is stressful, I'll talk about something that is probably more stressful, less stressful in the past few weeks, but equally, actually probably way more stressful for now, coming up to 10 years really, which is Man United.
Whoa.
So I'm a Man United fan, right? That's why I say we have a lot in common. I'm a Man United fan. The past 3 games, we're having some relief. But how has it been like, the past 10 years?
I mean, I stopped wearing my jersey after the Davis Moyes era.
Mine was the Chevrolet era.
Yeah.
You stop at Aeon, mine at least Chevrolet.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of like how, we are long-term investors.
Well, what do you think of the Glazers thing? So from an investing perspective, right? Actually, they're very good investors.
Yeah. But I mean, like, in terms of like football, right? How the sport has evolved. I think like at this point of time, like you throw enough money at it, it becomes, you can build like a great team like Manchester City, Liverpool more recently, as much as I hate to admit it. You hire great managers. You put the right people to the right job. You build a great team. It's kind of like Lego, right?
Yeah.
But it's not rocket science.
And now Newcastle.
Yes, exactly.
You can't get any richer than the guys backing Newcastle. Right?
No way, man.
Yeah. What do you think of the new manager and the new signings?
You mean for
United? Yeah.
Oh well, we'll just have to see, because
Right.
like it's a pretty young team. But we've been saying this for like the last 5 years.
We have been in transition for
The last 5 years, maybe the next 2-3 years, I don't know. But
Yeah.
we'll see. The youngsters are pretty promising. So I've been a fan for like so long now. It's too
Right.
late to quit.
Yeah, too late to quit. But I'm pretty positive about it. I think I'm saying this on record some more. I think that we are building it's like in investing, right? Or like even in work or all that, you can do the right thing, get the wrong results.
Yeah.
So I feel that even with the Brentford and Brighton loss, we were doing the right things, but we were getting the wrong results. Mostly because the transition of the whole tactics and all that were not familiar with our team. Because if you imagine our team, right, especially someone like De Gea, right, this is a classic one. He has been through all the managers.
Yeah.
So you've been through Moyes, which plays a certain style. They want the keeper to throw the ball forward.
Yes.
For Fellaini, right? That was Moyes. Then when you hit Van Gaal, it's completely different, right? You
Yeah.
need to pass the ball around.
Yeah.
Then you need to go, okay, then just 2 years in, and Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
Completely different. And then you had Oli Ball, right? The PE teacher. Right? And so then you had Ole, which, wanted to play a certain style, or some say didn't have a style at all.
Yeah.
And then now you're back to Erik Ten Hag, which is another
Completely different style.
Yeah, and so but I do feel that they are doing the right things now. A lot more triangle passing, It's like, yes.
Hey, that's the nice tiki taka we all want to see.
Yeah, do you watch the Leicester game?
No, I didn't.
There was a very nice passing sequence. It was very move in the right direction lah. But how long have you been a Man United fan actually?
Since the Beckham days.
Because
my dad was like a Man United fan.
Same. So I became a United fan 02.
02, yeah.
The whole our tactic last time was pass it to Giggs or Beckham, cross it into Van Nistelrooy. That's it.
Yeah.
That was the tactic, right?
And then you got like Rooney or Ronaldo at the center.
That was after that.
Oh, that was after that, right?
Yeah, right after that. I still remember. Do you remember the first football match that you watched?
You mean like physically or on TV?
On TV lah, yeah.
I don't remember. No, I don't.
Okay lah, but at least you're on the right side of Manchester lah. So one more thing we have in common. I didn't know you're into MBTIs. Or at least you do talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, because like my girlfriend wouldn't shut up about it.
Alright, it's the modern day what's that, astrology, right? In a way.
Yeah, kind of like scientifically. I don't know.
Yeah. Like so, do you? Cause correct me if I'm wrong. You are an INTJ, right?
Yes, that's right.
Right. Do you agree with the descriptions?
Yeah, kind of. But it's kind of like a chicken and egg thing, you know.
Yeah.
You do the test. Maybe it's not accurate, but you kind of like mold yourself into it.
Yeah, you can.
Well,
choose,
some people would say that happens.
You can choose your personality, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Although to be fair, have you heard of the Ocean test? Like this is the big 5 one. You only pay like $10 for it. It's way more comprehensive. It's by what's that psychologist? Jordan Peterson.
Oh.
Yeah. Right. You should do it. It's called a Big 5 personality test. Ocean. So O is openness, C is conscientious, E is extroversion, A is agreeableness, N is neuroticism. So it's like a building on this. Maybe they'll disagree lah. I can imagine people really disagreeing, but it's sort of like a better version, a better offshoot of MBTI.
Yeah, that could be a thing that we can try out.
$10, yeah. Okay, you know what? Last question only, right? And what are your future plans? Right, this is the LinkedIn question, right? You just started with Aaron, RA21, right? Yep. Which is it's called something adulting, right? I can't remember.
A Really Adult Show.
The Really Adult Show, sorry.
A Really Adult Show.
But how do you get a 21 there?
Oh, because we started in 2021.
Not bad. Well, what's the angle? What's the dream for that podcast and things like that?
Well, right now we both have like aspirations to have better reach, so that we get to like reach out to more people. Hope to see more collabs.
Right.
Yeah, and get better content, and then kind of like expand like a little bit in terms of like on the different platforms. So that's what we're working towards in the short term.
Okay, sounds good.
But in the long term, ultimately, I think I want this podcast, like we both want this podcast to be something that's really helpful for people who are adulting.
Yes, but you guys go deep into like insurance and credit, and it's like 2 hours 43 minutes. So like, wow, amazing. I need to listen more. I think I'm 20% through the diversification one that y'all just came out with.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening.
Yeah, for sure. I have to support, man. Fellow podcasters. What's your side of the story with like meeting Aaron? I'll ask his side, but how do you guys meet and like first impressions?
First impressions, this guy was like he had this Doge Darth Vader DP, then I was like, whoa, that's funny. But he actually got in touch with me first. He left like a nice comment on like crypto. Okay. So that's how we kicked it off.
This is your Instagram page, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So this was like more than a year ago?
Yeah, more than a year. I think it was back in like 2020, I think.
Wow, amazing story. So I will ask him his side. Okay.
But yeah, Aaron has been like kind of like a financial investing mentor for me.
I see.
Yeah, so like I owe a lot of like my gains or the right moves that I made in the investing space to him. Right. It's not that he's giving me like financial advice, but like the conversations that we have is kind of like, it goes deep. Like when you listen to the podcast and you listen to him speak, he addresses problems in a very fundamental way. Yeah. So it kind of like shaped my mind into to think that way more. So like when you address things at its roots, you get to the solution faster. So that's how we've evolved.
Excellent, man. Thanks for the hype trailer for the next podcast, which is Aaron. No, I think Aaron will be after we have one in between. But yeah, Ryan, thanks for spending a couple hours with me.
Hey, no problem.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Definitely.
And yeah, like how if people want to reach you, what do they do?
Well, I'm on Instagram. You can find me at Food Stonks. Right. And I'm just there, active on just one page.
You don't want people to find you on LinkedIn?
No, don't do that, man.
Yeah, guys. Guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I certainly did, and yeah, right now Definitely get you on for part 2, right? Especially when if you have a new stock in mind, we all want to hear what you think. And perhaps one where if Aaron is up in Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
Whenever that is, we can bring you guys on. And guys, signing off. If you like to this our podcast, on YouTube, give it a like. Spotify, follow us, share it with your friends if you think this is useful, and we'll see you in the next one, guys.